Ignorance is bliss. If I had to be pigeonholed, and I don't like to be pigeonholed, I would call myself a genuine socialist. Not a social democrat, but a genuine socialist in the vein of Allende and Chavez. And that's as close as you could get to labelling me. I don't have a racist bone in my body. But try and explain what the European Union has done, is doing, and will do to a Twitter user, a social media dweller, who's already one step removed from reality by being on there. That's true, by the way. You're hanging out on social media on your smartphone all the time. You have already removed yourself mentally one step away from actual reality. I really do believe that. So trying to explain this to people, they'll just shout slogans at you. They take pride in their ignorance. It is amazing to me how people have become. It's a post-fact world. It doesn't matter. Then finally from Rose, and it's where we'll leave the European Union, he's asked about membership of the European Union, how it has damaged and devastated countries, and he talks a little bit about Greece. Matthew D. Rose, the author and journalist. So what has it done to Greece?
God, look what they did to Greece. I think Greece is one of the great modern crimes. The difference is 80 years ago, the Germans just sent their army to conquer Greece. But we've learned via financialization, money is just as effective a weapon as armies are.
And a lot cheaper.
And a lot cheaper. And I'm not European, but I live here and I feel a certain responsibility. I am so ashamed of what we have done to the Greek people. I'm really ashamed. It is painful to think about it, what we have done. These are part of our civilization. These are people just like you or me, and we've done this to them. We've ruined their lives. We've forced a lot the young people to immigrate. There's no excuse for this. It's an absolute scandal, and this is what the EU stands for. And I can understand that people are increasingly upset because a lot of them are affected by this. They are losing their jobs. They're looking, for example, in Germany as in Britain. The rents are increasing. Why are people paying 40 or 50% of the wage for a flat? This is just unheard of.
Yeah. Destroyed Greece. And he asks a brilliant question there. Why are people paying 40 to 50% of their wages for a flat? Why are people in mortgage arrears? You know? Why have they lost their equity in their houses? Because interest rates have changed, or they got screwed by the lender who lent them the money for their mortgage. There are people listening to this programme who call people brain dead sheep. They say, oh, they're brain dead sheep, and they have no idea what it is to be alive. I wouldn't say brain dead sheep about anybody, because I know nothing. The older I get, the more that I know nothing compared to what I thought I knew. When I was 20, 25, 30, I knew it all, knew everything, the whole story. So I wouldn't call anybody a brain dead sheep, but I would say they have no idea what it is to be alive. But it's not their fault. You know? They think driving to work in a traffic jam at 5 o'clock in the morning, working like a lunatic for a corporation, hoovering down a lunch in 20 minutes, gallons of coffee, to get back to your desk to impress your supervisor. Targets, 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 targets. Fuck it, I'll be opening these emails at home tonight on my time, but I can't complain because I don't want to get in bad with the boss. Into the car after work for more demolition fucking derby on the crazy roads, with road rage incidents every 2 minutes. Some guy stuck up your arse 3 millimetres away from your bumper at 60 miles an hour. You get home by 7, you might get home by 7:30, 8 o'clock, too tired to play with the kids. And guess what? Your wife has done the exact same job, but for a different company. Maybe it's not the same job. She's knackered too. She's had the same day as you, but for a different company. It's a fortune for a babysitter. You're up to your tits in debt. No sex drive. Forget about sex. Rinse and repeat every day. Mortgaged up the azoo. And people call that life. That's life. That's life. That's living. Heart attack before you're 50. You can't sleep, you don't know why, but it's because in and out of work you're glued to your smartphone and living online. You hold your smartphone in your left hand more often than you used to hold your penis in your right hand when you were an adolescent. You're a zombie. That's all you are. So when someone who has escaped that lunacy, like me, and I did escape it, rationally, and academically explains it, and I have rationally and academically explained it without ranting and without using bad language to people, what do you get? Because of the life I just described, because they are one step removed from reality, because of their addiction to the internet and computers and smartphones and tablets, what do you get when you explain to them rationally, as I've just done in the last half an hour? Well, they swear at you, shout slogans at you, and call you a racist. You're a racist. This is the Richie Allen Show for Monday the 11th of March 2019. My name is Richie Allen, by the way. Thanks for joining the programme. A lot of tweets came in there. I will read some of them in a few minutes' time. And I'm hoping very soon Dean Henderson will be live from Missouri. The Ozarks, in fact. Live right now on Fab Radio 2 in Manchester, triggerwarning.tv, my website, and all the rest of the places. Always good to be with you. Big week of programmes coming up. The Brexit madness and plenty more as well. Dean Henderson next. Well, not next, but soon. Back after Chris Rea, The Road to Hell. Chris Rea, The Road to Hell on The Richie Allen Show. The time is 17 minutes to the top of the hour. Dean Henderson has signed in, legend, and will join me after the top of the hour, shortly after the top of the hour. Loads of tweets. Hi to Faisal. How you doing, Faisal? To Patrick, who says Matthew D. Rose knows his onions. He's telling the truth, of course. Faisal says you can blast a loud, angry rant in their faces and tell them what muppets they are anyway. This is when you're trying to get through to people. Leave your identity. Leave that which you think you are to one side. Forget about what you've read. Forget what somebody else has told you to think. Think for yourself. It is a fascist, undemocratic organisation, a major pillar of the future one world government. The destruction of sovereignty. It couldn't be simpler. How do you concentrate all the power in the hands of a tiny few people? Well, you create an organisation like a European Union. Right? It's as simple as that. And you pretend that it's a very benign thing. You say, well, after the Second World War, we better all come together and huddle up, light the campfire there, and we'll all get on well and we'll never kill one another again. And you get people to believe that was the reason. And then at the very outset of the European Union, the Treaty of Rome and all of that, you get a whole load of ex-Nazis. Genuinely. The Nazi Roots of the Brussels EU is one of the most important books ever written by the Rath Foundation. In the early days, it was all Nazis. Because, of course, the international pharmaceutical and oil cartels, helped along by the financial families, the elites, wanted the Germans to win the Second World War so that they could control the spoils of a Nazi-dominated Europe post-45. That's all true. But your children don't hear about that when they go to high school. Don't tell them that. Hi to Ruth, friend of mine who's listening to this in Australia in the small hours of Tuesday morning. That's right. At least I think it is anyway. How you doing, Ruth? Hi to Warrior Woman, to Cartoon Drunk, to Andrew Bell, to Sean McDonald, to Andy Newman, who says there is a photograph on the BBC News website of Theresa May behind bars. Is there? I must hop on over there in a minute to have a look, Andrew. Andy even, thank you for that. Hi to Night Sky Photographer. Hi to Paul Paranoid. How you doing, Paul? Thanks for listening today, Pan. I appreciate that. Hi to Sarah as well. A lot of excitement about John Wedger coming back on this programme tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to Chris Monkton coming on. And I promise you that as the week goes on, it's not going to be so Brexit-centric. When I heard some of those interviews this morning that I brought you today in the monologue stroke rant, it was an open goal. I had to bring you this. I'm hoping that you will use it. You know, share it with people who have a different opinion. Cartoon Drunk tweets, pigs have the best sense of smell of any mammal, especially for sniffing out shite. Yes. Is that connected to intelligence? Might well be. It might well be. Again, I've missed a lot of tweets there. Paul Alawi tweets, the Remainers I've debated the referendum with will not be drawn into a conversation about how the European Union is linked intrinsically to banking and how that association is ruining the countries in the south of the continent. Paul, they don't want to know. They don't know basic things like how does the UK government, how does it finance its activities? How does it finance its programme of government? They don't want to know that. They don't want to know that the government sells government bonds to the Bank of England, but not just to the Bank of England, to hedge funds, to businesses, but also to the European Central Bank. Money that doesn't exist. You can buy a government bond yourself with your money. They don't want to know this stuff. It's too complicated. And people have become so narcissistic that they are utterly incapable of moving away from their own position. Their own positions on things become closer to them than their families and their spouses and their best friends. Incredibly. What is a position? There's nothing wrong with being wrong. I'm wrong all the time. I'm not wrong about this, though. This is the thing, you see. Spent my life researching this. But I'm wrong about a lot of things. I don't mind being wrong. It's nice when somebody points out, hey, Richie, you said something the other night. You gave an opinion. It's bollocks, Rich. Have a look at this. All right, great. Well, thanks. I won't say that again then. But not with the generation that's coming behind us. Now we start to sound like our parents and our grandparents, and we said we never would. We said we'd never blame the generation that is behind us. I'm not blaming them for anything. Like I said, circumstances, not just circumstances, but environmental factors are at play here. They don't choose to be narcissistic. They don't choose to be identitarians. They don't. They don't make a conscious decision. I'm going to be a total arsehole. I'm just going to ignore everything that contradicts anything that I believe. I'm going to block everybody on Twitter and on Facebook, and I am going to refuse to even listen to people who disagree with me. I don't blame them because they don't choose to be like that. They don't. External environmental factors are doing it to them. Food, water, geoengineering. I'm telling you, I know there are people listening to this because they like the politics side of it, but they don't buy into any of what I'm saying right now. I'm telling you, that's what it is. Their addiction to technology. All of this is frying their brains. So they become masses of gelatinous goo that they eat. They go to their place of work. They play on their phones. They're on their phones when they're on the tram, when they're in the train, even when they're parked in their cars in the traffic jams. They are basically... I'm not going to keep going with this. You know what they are, but it's not their fault. Not their fault.